In the last section, we have seen how to prepare the dataset, and you have either uploaded it already, or you can reload it by, where is it? By reading it out again. So full index equals BD from CSV. Oops. So I just uploaded it again. Okay, we read in the new PD data frame, ensure that there's no index by writing it out and in, and then prepare for one country and do an analysis. When doing analytics, you always will have to cope with two different perspectives on the dataset. The matrix view, what we have just right now, with, you could say, each column is an indicator or a so-called feature layer. And this matrix view is the normal way how people are typically also bringing things into Excel, or how the mathematics works in the background. There's a different view, it's a so-called relational view. This is how databases and relational algebra is operating. Let's have a look on both dimensions. Both have a different kind of use case in the background, but it's really simple to change the perspective from one perspective to the other. So let's have a look. Number one, I will slice out a country like the US by, okay, give me the code with this country and push it to data frame my country. And if you want to bring it to the relational view, you just have to do the so-called meld command. And the meld command is pushing each column now to a row and pushing it to a new column name and its values. So let's have a look. How does it look like? So my country view is simple. This is how it always looks. So the full matrix only with the US now. And the relational view. And the relational view has a year now. And each indicator is now pushed to a row and the value next to it. And this is a relational view. The relational view, remember, we use this relational view to put this indicator as a color code for the plotting. That was a very convenient way to plot. Not to iterate over the columns itself, but just to say, okay, if I do a line plotting, use this indicator and separate it out by the color code itself. Okay, now how complete is a data set? How complete is the data set? We can have now a look on my country. So that was the US. Okay, so only looking on the US, you see how mighty this matrix view is. You can see directly that we have sometimes in the year 2001, we have a lot of values. Then we have some missing values. Some are totally complete. And here you can see also the line of 19 indicators are correct. And at the end we have 5. What you can do now is to go through each of this column and do a linear approximation between this value and this value. And this is the first technique of even machine learning. It's called regression, that you put a linear line between one value and the other value. And this can be done as well in one very simple command. You take the matrix. You say, what is the linear interpolation between these different values? You limit it to the forward direction. Axis 0 means, okay, along the columns. You push it back. And now you always go to the first value and fill it up in the linear approximation. And now you have more or less a kind of complete data set. what we did now is that we assume that there's a linear relationship between one point and the other point. But since we are working here on time series data, I think that's a good approximation, and I cross-checked it later in the correlation matrix. If you're doing it like this, you should not disturb too many analysis results. You have to be very careful how to fill up the missing values here. You should search always for a so-called neutral element, which is not disturbing your analysis. Imagine you would just fill these gaps by 0, and then you would see maybe totally different results, because maybe you have a high value here, then you would go down to 0, and it would look very, very bumpy also from the visual representation, and it would be just wrong. So for time series data, the linear approximation of missing data is mostly good. And this is only one technique how you can do it. There are, of course, many, many different other techniques how to fill up missing values.